Good afternoon, everyone. It is about to be 12 noon Pacific time here in Las Vegas at Lotus Broadcasting, home of Raider Nation Radio. Let's rock, man. Let's do a radio show, a 2-hour radio show. Hope everybody's feeling good. There's a big flu going on out here, man. Bobby, you got to be careful. Everybody's got to be careful because
I got my shot.
Well, shots or not, Pete, there's something going on out here. There's something going on. A lot of people are under the weather. And I think my immune system probably took a little bit of a hit, I would think, in New Orleans. But I feel pretty good. The voice is coming back. Yeah. I'm going to get into the Raiders coaching staff, the announcement of the coaching staff. If you have any comments on just the overall coaching staff overall, I kind of 2 days of going over Kansas City losing the Super Bowl was really joyous and fun. If you still want to touch on that, I'll hit on it. The NBA is a big storyline. I'm going to pivot. We're going to start doing more of a talk show, man. It's not going to be 2 hours of Raiders. I can't do 2 hours of Raiders. I physically cannot do 2 hours of Raiders. It's going to be sports. Hopefully you like sports. I think my strength is doing sports, not just pigeonholed into one topic. When there's great days and it's all Raiders, I'll do it. But we're going to kind of get into more sports and get going here because I need to get back to doing what I do best is sports talk radio. And there's a lot going on with the Lakers and Luka and just big news in sports, baseball, pitchers and catchers. So hopefully that will keep you entertained and informed because, I'm not going to talk about a defensive back coach for an hour today. It's not going to happen. So if you have any suggestions, put it there in the chat on anything else you want to talk about. But, this is not a Raider exclusive channel here. This is the JT the Brick Show. And I talk about sports. I talk about other teams. I talk about everything. And we give you a ton of Raiders. See all the Raiders behind me, the logo there, and this one here. You're getting your Raiders. You get a lot of it from me, but we kind of got to move on and talk a little bit of sports. I hope you agree on that. Daytona this weekend. Absolutely big D. Yes.
That's always a big event.
Have the Rossini on Rodgers moving on ready.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got
Kelce, you got all loaded?
Yep.
Sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes up off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 20 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT today as we get rolling on a fabulous day in Las Vegas, February 12th, 2025, on a glorious, gorgeous day. Fantastic, but I'm hearing the rain is coming. We don't get much of it here. You probably get a lot more where you live. We don't get any rain, so we don't have to say go away. It never rains, like it's almost never, but it's coming. And I know it's coming through California where a lot of our audience is, and hope everybody is doing well today. My voice is coming back. As I told our YouTube group, our chat, the show starts about 5 minutes early, around there, 4 or 5 minutes early. I log on to YouTube, JT the Brick YT. We are live video streaming of the show, and the show lives after that. So for people who want to catch the show, I'd rather them go to my YouTube channel so I can get the clicks and the views and we can build this thing. So if you haven't subscribed, do it for free and make some new internet friends. A lot of people make internet friends, man. A lot of people I'm getting to know here because of the chat, and the chat helps me out throughout the show as we get going. So great day today so far. I had an hour and 15-minute Zoom with the people at the Raiders and the Raiders cruise. End of March, I'm going to be the MC of the Raider fan cruise to the Mexican Riviera. And when I signed on to do it, the Raiders asked me if I wanted to do it, and I did it, and I didn't realize how big it is. It is big. their Norwegian Bliss massive cruise ship holds 4,000 people. 400, 10% will be Raider fans. There's like 15 slots left if you want to go. 14 alumni are going, Raider staff, a lot of Raider fans. The Black Hole is going to play a major role in it. They're going to be doing a lot of things, and they're involved, and it's going to be fun. So I'm sitting there on the Zoom today going, excuse me, what? We're going to this beach? We're getting off. We're doing this. I'm interviewing this guy. It's a lot, but I'm happy I'm going to be a part of it. So we got a lot of housekeeping items here, some Raider events coming up. The Commitment to Excellence Awards in dedication to Max Crosby is less than 2 weeks away. I'll be the MC for that. So next couple of weeks are going to be pretty busy here. And then we haven't even got into the combine, free agency, the draft, and all of that. As I told everybody on the chat, we got to start doing a better job talking sports here. Days that I have Raider content, I'll give it to you. But I'm a sports talk host, and there's going to be days where I don't have a lot of Raider content, and I'm not going to make stuff up. Good way to get in trouble this time of year. I've been doing this longer than anybody in Raider history with the media, and if I don't got anything to say, I'm not going to do an hour talking about a defensive back coach. Not going to happen here. I got Kevin Durant, I got Luka, I got pitchers and catchers reporting. I have a lot of big storylines that I want to get to, and if you've been following me for 25 minutes or 25 years, I'm proud of the sports talk I do. So if you want to talk about sports, come here, and we'll give you heavy Raiders, heavy NFL, but there's going to be some days, man, where it's leaner than others. So as I was coming up with the topics today, and I'll get to that, I want to start off the show, dedicating the show to the UNLV football player who passed away, Ben Chrisman, who was unfortunately found deceased in his apartment. A really bad story, a sad story. According to the Associated Press, UNLV senior offensive lineman Ben Chrisman, who transferred after last season from Kentucky, has died, the university announced. He's only 21 years old. I have a 21-year-old son. This is devastating. He was found dead in an off-campus apartment Tuesday morning. The university said it didn't have other details, and the cause of death would be determined by the Clark County coroner's office. UNLV and Chrisman's family and the team have been informed, and that counseling services are provided for everyone involved, of course, including the students and the student athletes. Dan Mullen, the new coach of UNLV, said, quote, our team's heart is broken to hear of Ben's passing. Since the day Ben set foot on our campus a month ago, he made the Rebels a better program. Ben was an easy choice for our leadership committee as he earned the immediate respect, admiration, of friendship of all the teammates. Our prayers go out to his family, all of who knew him very well. Ben made the world a better place, and he will be missed. That is much more important than anything I will say today about sports. That a young man who played for UNLV football, was about to play, has lost his life at the age of 21. Hug the people around you in life. A very sad moment for the program. We're always behind UNLV. If there's anything we can do to help raise money for this family or help in any way, please reach out to us. And if we can help, and if you're a UNLV fan, get around the community, get around this program, because they're going through a really tough time. And, UNLV, the students went through a tough time with the shooting. When that happened, it's just been difficult. And at times we talk about sports. How'd the team do? Did they win or lose? This is much bigger than sports. So as I watched this on Twitter and I saw about it, I wanted to make sure we did the right thing and say, too young, 21-year-old young man lost his life, and he was a leader. He began his college career at Ohio State as a highly ranked prospect in the 2021 recruiting class. He redshirted that season, played in one game in 2022 before transferring to Kentucky. He did not play in 2023 because of a knee injury, but he appeared in all 12 games last season on special teams before transferring to UNLV. So I don't care about his football career. I care about his life. And it came to an end at the age of 21. And if you have a child, you can't imagine what this loss is like. So prayers to the UNLV family, obviously to Ben and his legacy, and hopefully we can help in any way. We'd like to do that. And everybody could say a prayer for the family. I would greatly appreciate that. All right, back to sports. The topic that I wanted to talk about is that the Raiders formally announced on their website the coaching staff for the upcoming season. And as I said yesterday, I believe the Raiders won the offseason when it came to a coaching staff. There is no doubt in my mind that the Raiders have put together a coaching staff that can rival any staff in all of football. I really mean that. Some staffs are better than others. You know how much respect I have for the former coaches who have coached here, who are no longer here. We wish them well. So I always got something in the back of my mind. Make sure you pay respects to Antonio Pierce, Josh McDaniels, Rich Bisaccia, John Gruden. Those are the coaches in Vegas. And then the 14 other coaches total I've dealt with. And I've had great relationships with every one of them because it's all about respect and hoping that they win. But now this coaching staff is led by Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll is the head coach, and he has a tremendous track record, not only in college, but in the NFL. And I think this is a massive hire at the right time for a coach who knows how to win and is going to change up everything that the Raiders have done. I don't know. I'm not in the meetings. When I'm in the building, that they're on that side of the building, and I don't know what Pete Carroll's going to do, but from listening to Max Crosby, from talking to others involved who played underneath Pete Carroll, Robert Turbin's going to join us later on the show. I actually interviewed him yesterday, but he won a Super Bowl with Seattle under Pete Carroll, and I think he's going to tell you something pretty important about coach. So what is Pete Carroll going to do with this coaching staff? What are we expecting coming in? That's the focus of my monologue, brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. Best happy hour in town, 5 to 7, midnight to 2. Head on out, half-price drinks, drive responsibly. PTs has you covered. What I think is going to happen is Pete's going to change a lot. He's going to change the culture of practice. He's going to change the culture of competition. I had to bite my tongue last year because, like many, when I went to Costa Mesa, I didn't think the practices were any good. Not because the coaches didn't run them properly. I mentioned Max Crosby was wrecking every practice because no one could guard him. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell were below average the entire camp. I told you that as I broadcast under a tent 20 feet away. Every ball hit the ground. Devontae left to go have a child with his wife. Great. No problem with that. Devontae was gone, air quotes, a while. And we were in Costa Mesa, which I loved. Oh, my God, getting out of Vegas to go to Costa Mesa. Please, please. Napa, Lake Tahoe, Costa Mesa. I'll drive the equipment up there if you please let me. I'm all for that. And Antonio Pierce is a guy that wanted to relate to his players, took the players to the beach. Guy Fieri came and cooked for him. All great things. Phenomenal. I don't know if Pete Carroll's going to do any of that. I don't know if he's going to want to practice in the heat. I don't know if he's going to want to practice at night. I don't know if he's going to want fans at practice. I have no idea. But in Pete, we trust because Pete is a fiend when it comes to competition. Competition Wednesday. So I've done a little homework on this Competition Wednesday, and I've interviewed a lot of people along the way, and I've talked to people on and off the record about what's going to happen. And people are waiting around, and they can't wait to see what Pete does in the OTAs. What is he going to do with the offseason workouts? How intense is he going to be? How loose is he going to be? But he hired one heck of a coaching staff. Matt Capura will be his senior VP of coaching operations. There are some familiar coaches who have been here before. I'm not going to go through every coach. It's all on the website, the bios. It's really good information at Raiders.com. So Pete's going to be in charge with this. What's the topic with Pete Carroll? Well, I think a good topic for today is, what do you expect from Pete that's been different from Josh McDaniels, who was a wizard at putting practices together? Now, you might not have liked them, but believe me, he took the practice sheets that he did with Tom Brady and brought them right to the Raiders. And they ran practices, and I was at those practices, and there wasn't a lot of criticism about Josh McDaniels' practices. They were buttoned up. Now, maybe he didn't handle them well with the players or his personality or how hard he was on the players. I wasn't in the meeting rooms, but it's going to be different. Rich Bisaccia was a special team coach. He took over a team, got him to the playoffs. He did a great job. A special teams coach. He leaned on a lot of other people. But Antonio Pierce was a former player, and he played his whole life under some really good coaches. really good coaches, including Tom Coughlin. And he brought Marvin Lewis in. And they ran the practices of Tom Coughlin and Marvin Lewis, who had tremendous success, and Antonio Pierce put his own exclamation point on all that. You know, it's sad. Antonio Pierce was the right guy at the right time, but they lost 10 in a row. Pete Carroll was available. It was the same thing with Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio, I thought, did a nice job. John Gruden was available. That was it. John Gruden's available. So Pete Carroll is the choice. Was he the first choice or Ben Johnson? I do not care. Could care less. Pete Carroll's the coach. I'd run through a wall for him on the radio. You know that. So then Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator. Very good coach, play caller, head coach in multiple stops, college and pro. So he knows how to run a practice. He knows how to run meetings and to do everything that you're supposed to do. You know, God forbid if Pete Carroll couldn't make a practice or had something important with his family, Chip Kelly can go there and run the whole practice. He can do it blindfolded because he's a head coach. So I think that is a fantastic hire, period, right there. So you got Chip Kelly. Now, I'm doing a deep dive into Chip because a lot of people who know him say that he's run heavy. He's going to want a great running back. You know, ball's going to come out quicker. They're going to run a faster offense. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! I don't have to sit in my seats in 132 and go, clock, tick, 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 5, 4, none of that. High tempo with Chip. High tempo. Okay? You got to be hydrated with Chip Kelly. You're going to run. And he's going to make you run. I like that. I'm thrilled at the fact that Greg Olson's back with the quarterbacks. What a great guy. Oh, my God. I ran into Greg at an airport in San Diego when I went and saw Billy Joel in San Diego, and he was there at the airport. And just a gentleman. Great guy. Worked on so many good staffs. Pete knows him well. He comes back at quarterback. Joe Philbin's going to be here. Senior offensive assistant. What does that mean? Means what it says. Senior offensive assistant. Offensive line, whatever you need from him. Luke Steckel with the tight ends. Got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. That speaks for itself here. And then we have the Carroll kids who are adults. Nate Carroll, assistant to the quarterbacks, and Brennan Carroll, who's the run game coordinator in the offensive line. I don't know much about the Carroll gentlemen who are the son of Pete. I don't know anything about them other than their bios that I read. You know, there is nothing better in your life, if your dad's alive and you can spend time with your dad. The most guilt that I have every day of my life is that I'm not today with my dad, who's 86, and my mom, who's 85, and my sisters are, and my brother-in-laws are. I got a real big problem with that. That's why you will see me disappear throughout the next 6 months to go spend time, and I hope you understand why. How great is it that Pete Carroll can go to work every day with his sons? I don't know how great of coaches there are. Brennan Carroll has a nice history here in his bio, but that's going to be unbelievable. To go to work with your dad? Oh, my God. To go into meetings with your dad, to leave late at night and go to a restaurant in Henderson with your dad? I mean, that would be a dream of mine. I hope I can do that with my son someday. So I find that encouraging. I'm a big believer in that. Don't tell me it's nepotism and this and that. No. When you're Pete Carroll, you can have your whole family there every day. Go to the defensive side of the ball. Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator. That is a big deal. If he left to be the defensive coordinator of Jacksonville or the head coach of Jacksonville, then we would have needed a new defensive coordinator who doesn't know any of the guys who are back. None of them. Unless they would have elevated Rob Leonard, who's now the run game coordinator on the defensive line. He's great. As I said, Rob Leonard is going to be a future head coach in the NFL. I don't know what the timeline is. I would say before 5 years. And I have predicted that Patrick Graham will be a head coach next year. Not 2 years from now. He was almost close to getting Jacksonville. That's a pretty good staff. Joe Woods, pass game coordinator, defensive back. Really good name. And then I go to special teams. I thought the Raiders special teams were pretty good. And they brought back Tom McMahon. And Tom McMahon's going to be back as special teams coordinator. I think that that's a good pick overall. So what's the topic for today? And it's an important one because we don't know the answer to it. And normally I like to do radio shows where I kind of have the answer. I don't have the answer for this. I want to know from Raider Nation, and this is participation. Don't thank me, but I'm asking you this. What do you want to see changed with the culture of the Raiders' practice and competition? I know that you're not at practice. You're at some training camp practices. You're at training camp. They're running vanilla stuff. But overall, what would you like Pete to do quickly to change what has happened in the past? Tough question because you're not in the meetings, but you're Raider Nation. You're the fans. You're football fans. You're diehard fans. You love this team. You know the history of John Madden and Tom Flores. You know all the other coaches that have been here. John Gruden was great as a coach and great on TV. And, man, the sound bites of John Gruden, oh, my God, they'll go down in the archives of NFL films, just getting in the quarterback's face. I'm not about dreams. I'm about nightmares. Well, Pete Carroll's about Competition Wednesday. Pete Carroll's whole vibe is that I don't care how much you get paid. I don't care where you think you're going to play. You're going to compete, and if you don't win your competition, you're not going to play. I think that's what the team needs. Not that Antonio Pierce didn't do that well enough. No, Pete Carroll's better because he's a borderline or should be Hall of Fame coach. He is. How's Pete Carroll not going to get in the Hall of Fame if Tony Dungy's in the Hall of Fame or Bill Cowher's in the Hall of Fame with one? Mike Holmgren didn't get in. Mike Holmgren didn't get in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people are pissed off about that. He's got an unbelievable coaching tree. Mike Holmgren's coaching tree, which is part of the Hall of Fame, includes Andy Reid, Steve Mariucci, John Gruden. I mean, it's good. And he didn't get in the Hall of Fame. So that's what I got to open up the show today. I want to know if, as a diehard Raider fan, 702-365-9200, what would you like to see this year? Knowing that you're not going to make the decision on where training camp is. A lot of people ask me that. JT, are we going back to Napa? Please. JT, are we going to Tahoe? I go, if you're going to Tahoe, go on the Nevada side to save a lot of money in taxes. But California is a big part of the Raider Nation. Are we going back to Costa Mesa? I even had a friend tell me the other day, Raiders should come to San Diego for camp because San Diego loves the Raiders. I go, you're right. Raiders can have camp wherever they want, but Mark built one of the greatest facilities in the history of sports. I'm all for having camp where I live. It's hot. They can go indoor, outdoor. You can practice early. But I think that everybody is encouraged, and I wouldn't call it a mystery, but I think that the practices that are coming up have got to be noticeably different than the coaches of the past. I think that they have to be really more intense, more competition, more noise, more clocks on the field, more people in your face, hardcore practice for this team because they need practice. They're not very good. Pete's taking over a team that won 4 games. And I always think the coaching is pretty good. I do. Every year I think the draft's pretty decent. You draft Cleveland Farrell, you draft, a corner, Damon Arnett, which is the only pick I thought was awful the second they took it. But every time you draft Max Crosby in the 4th round, I'm like, I hear he's a good player. You don't know. But the Raiders coaching staff won the offseason. This is an elite coaching staff on paper. We've had a lot of coaching staffs here in Las Vegas. Fans are confused. Fans are saying, what's going on? What do you mean? How many coaches are we paying for? How many coaches are we getting rid of? I stay in my lane. I interview the coaches. I want them to win. I try to support them in the community. And I try to tell you fans what I see at practice. That's it. But we got to get back to more contact. We got to get guys out of the tub. We can't have a team that's injured all the time. That's not the fault of the trainers. Injuries are flukes. Guys run and he pulls up his hamstring. He's out for 4 weeks. We can't have that. We can't have guys who are injured and then never come back. Right? I mean, how many guys got hurt last year and you're like, when are they coming back? Oh, no, they're not coming back. They're out due to an illness. Really? Okay. I didn't see a team check out last year, did you? I didn't. You'd be lying if you said this team checked out. They played hard on a 10-game losing streak. They played their ass off. But what happened was they were decimated by injuries and they didn't have a lot of depth behind the injuries. They didn't have any depth. They had players that were practice squad players that were elevated to starters, and you're out there watching the team trailing by 10 every game in the fourth quarter. How surprised were you? You got half the group is from the practice squad. I mean, how many times did you go to a game or watch a game and go, who?
Yeah.
Who's that guy playing? Oh, Chason's playing well. Well, he's playing well because there's no Kuntz and there's no Crosby. So the team's got to be healthy. I would expect the team to train differently under Pete. I would expect it would be more intensity at practice. I could be wrong. And I would think that everybody's going to be more accountable. I don't think it's going to be a whole situation where everybody's looking around at the walls going, what are we doing today? I think everybody's going to come into the building and have a coach in their face going, hey, Pete wants to talk to you. Meet Pete at the 30-yard line. He watched something on tape from 2 days ago. He wants to clean it up. You go there now, and Pete is going to clean that up pretty quickly. One of the things I love about Pete Carroll, because I've covered his whole career, he's great at halftime adjustments.
Yeah.
We were not.
Oh,
We were not.
Yeah.
We were terrible. We, the Raider Nation, awful going into halftime and coming out of halftime. Oh, my God. I mean, that was a mess. The 5 minutes or 4 minutes before the half and the 3 minutes coming out was like, what are we doing? We're down 10 and we're handing the ball off on 1st and 10 and we're behind the sticks again. What are we doing? I like the fact that the coaches last year realized that Brock Bowers was great, not good, and they got him the ball. That was good. We got really good special teams, as I said. The special teams was good. Amir Abdullah, all the guys who played, A.J. Cole, Daniel Carlson, they're good. I think the special teams is okay. I don't have a problem with that. And if we get better players, the special teams are only going to get better. Right? But most of the time, they've taken the foot out of football. They kick it through the end zone or they do this little pop-up thing and no one gets past the 25. And A.J.'s really good in flipping field position. But as I look back at this coaching staff, and I was studying it on the plane when I came back from New Orleans because I didn't have the complete list out. So I had my pad and pen out, and I was trying to figure out, who's going to be here, who's going to be there. Chris Petey at wide receivers. There's some good receivers on this team. McCullough, D-Lam McCullough, the running back coach, is important. I got to get to know this guy because we got to see what's going to happen at the running back position. I am starting to believe that the priority for the Raiders is the quarterback, but right behind it is running back. If Pete and Chip want to get this program back on track, they have got to get the running game going.
yeah.
And you want to talk about competition Wednesday? We're not going with these backup offensive linemen anymore. We're not going with these practice squad offensive linemen. We're not going with offensive linemen in the 7th round anymore. No more. Okay? If you can get a 7th-round diamond in the rough, I'm good for that. But I would hope that John Spytek gets some free agent offensive linemen who have scars on them, who have played in this league, been to a Pro Bowl, played 16 or 17 games in a row, and they can compete. Because if you're not playing well, you're off the field. I mean, that doesn't go for it will go for everybody, of course. But I think we have to worry about Max, Christian Wilkins when healthy, Jacoby Myers, right? We don't have to worry about that. Those guys are set. I'm hoping Robert Spillane is obviously back. He's great. Okay, but the other guys who are coming in competing, like this whole batch of cornerbacks we bring in every year, the other regimes have brought in these cornerbacks. Are we going to hit on a cornerback or what? Should we take a corner at number 6 who's a lock to play corner and we don't have to develop a corner? I mean, we've had a lot of developing corners around here for a long time. Okay, Jack Jones was a good player. He got beat a lot last year, a lot. And I like Jack. He's a good player. But he got beat a lot last year. And he was tight with Antonio Pierce. Jacorian's a good player. He was hurt. He wasn't available down the stretch. So should we get a corner at 6? Because the Eagles got 2 who are rookies and they dominated the Super Bowl. Maybe I don't like taking a corner at 6. I don't want to take a running back at 6. I'll take Shedeur at 6 if he's still there. But maybe do we just get a corner and say, let's just get a corner who's great and just have one for 8 years that we don't have to worry about? I don't know. This is all going to come down to what Pete Carroll thinks of roster development with John Spytek. So as always, I just gave you 27 minutes. Let's see what we get from you. Because I could talk for 4 hours straight. They give me a few partner commercials to play, but you can tell the voice is coming back after New Orleans. I'm ready to go. I want to go see that Led Zeppelin movie today.
You probably should.
Yeah, I should. I probably should go see that Led Zeppelin movie. I only think it's in the theaters, Bobby, one more day. So 2 more days in IMAX. So I'm thinking about doing that. And then I've had a couple. I came back from New Orleans and I did 2 doubles, Monday, Tuesday. Ooh. Late nights on the radio. I want to get into the NBA today. I'm pretty furious about the NBA trade deadline. They got that garbage NBA All-Star game this weekend. It'll be in San Francisco, though. That'll be nice. Oh, wow, it's going to rain in the Bay. Is it? Ooh. The Golden Knights are off, but they're playing that Four Nations tournament, which is interesting to me. I'm going to watch some of that. There's college football news. Matt Patricia will take over as the defensive coordinator for Ohio State. Levi Edwards will join us. Howard Balzer, the Hall of Fame voter. Eric Allen's in the Hall of Fame. I haven't taken a lot of calls on that also. Whoa, let's stop the show. Let's stop the show. I didn't take any calls at all, really, from New Orleans, right? We were busy, maybe 1 or 2. We haven't taken any EA calls on Eric Allen going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah, not since I've been back. That'd be a nice topic today. And that's good. We're not going to make stuff up today. We're going to talk sports. 702-365-9200. I want to thank Tequila Commissario, Gavin Maloof and his entire team. We have the Ferrari of tequilas here, the best of the best. Tequila Commissario, proud partner of Raider Nation Radio, and I'm going to go big this week, thanking all of our partners again for getting us to the Super Bowl. Can't thank them enough for that. So the Raider coaching staff is our topic today. Feels like that went over like a lead balloon, but I'll stay with it. Are you happy with this coaching staff, Raider Nation? Do you believe that this staff is noticeably better from some of the other staffs you liked or didn't like? Ooh, because you didn't like these other coaches. And you took it out on me. You took it out on me. You said it was my fault. Okay? Now we got good coaches. We had other good coaches, but they didn't make the cut. They were let go. And now we have an opportunity to go down the road here with the new coaches. And the topic is, what's the big change you want to see with the culture of the coaching? It could be hurry up offense. It could be harder competition. It could be more physical practices. Really interested on what you have to say today. 702-365-9200. Go check us out on YouTube at JT the Brick YT and up on Instagram at JT the Brick LV. All right, the monologue is done. Levi Edwards will join us from the digital team. They got some pretty cool projects they're working on at Raiders.com. We'll tell you all about that coming up on the other side. So we're ready to roll today. Let's get motivated, man. It's fun to be on the radio. Fun to talk Raiders on their flagship radio station.
Rival in the Chargers with all that going on. I know them in Kansas City have rivalries, but he and Jim have their own.
Someday there's going to be no calls left on radio. Some days, because we're living in a time now where you got to give out slices of pizza and T-shirts and hats to get people to participate. I'm going to remain old school. I thought that was a pretty good topic.
Casinos across the valley. Don't let the game get out of hand. Please bet responsibly. Boyd Gaming is the official and exclusive local casino partner of the Las Vegas Raiders and Allegiant Stadium.
All right, how's everyone doing today? Raiders get Max a contract. I don't get involved in people's contracts. LSU offensive tackle. Okay, Kevin, thanks for that. Doors, I do like the Doors. So a couple people say they went to the Led Zeppelin IMAX? I saw, let me refresh here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Led Zeppelin IMAX. I thought I saw a Rush movie recently. What's that? I'm gonna have him call us from the landline. Yeah.
This is going to be Richard Sherman
Okay.
talking about Pete Carroll coming back.
Okay.
Once I get you up and running, I'm going to try to find the turban.
Try to find it. You had it yesterday.
I know, but I don't save shit, so I got to see if I can look it up.
I mean, but you had it ready to play yesterday, and what's gone?
No, the throw.
Oh, the throw.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that in hour number 2. We got time.
I still got to go.
Yeah.
Up, so.
My preference, Shador at number 6, Mike, or Darnold, and the best player available. My preference would be if Shador's available at 6. You got to take Shador if he's available at 6. The Raiders cannot afford to miss on Shador Sanders. And if they couldn't trade up to get Shador, I'm good with that. I'm fine. I wouldn't trade up to get him. Maybe they do. But you can't let Shador go if he's at 6. I mean, how many fans have been bitching and moaning about a quarterback since Jamarcus Russell busted out, and you're going to pass on Shador? No. If Shador's available or Cam's available, you take him at 6. No doubt. And you develop them, and you hope you get a great elite Pro Bowler. Yep. He's going to call us.
There's a new way to get to the game, M-Ride it. M-Ride is the luxury concierge shuttle service. It's the same bus the players use, so you can ride like a pro. M-Ride will take you round trip from Circle of the Palms to Allegiant Stadium or T-Mobile Arena. No more hassle parking, sitting in traffic, waiting in long taxi or rideshare lines. M-Ride it.
This is Richard Sherman talking about Pete Carroll.
Reserve your ride at mridelb.com. Use promo code BRICK. That's mridelb.com. Promo code BRICK.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
You'd have an immediate rival in the Chargers with all that going on. I know them in Kansas City have rivalries,
Is this
but
Bobby?
he and Jim had their own
Richard
personal
Sherman.
history. But I think it'd be a good job. I think he'd do a great job. He's a culture builder. He's a leader of men. Understands the league, understands what it takes to have success in the league, understands what it takes to build a good defense, to be competent within a game, understanding in-game situations. He hired good coordinators. He has relationships with great coordinators in the league, and he's shown to have success with a young quarterback.
That's Richard Sherman from the Legion of Boom, LOB. He's got a good opinion on Pete Carroll, obviously. You're going to hear more of Pete Carroll's former players, I would assume, on Raider Nation Radio in all of our day parts. If you go to Raiders.com and the Raiders mobile app, you'll see this great feature up written by Levi Edwards and the team there on Marcus Allen. And I had a good chance and a lot of opportunity to be with Marcus in New Orleans. And Marcus is the best. He joined us exclusively from the Raiders set. From the vault, Marcus Allen set the precedent for his Hall of Fame career in a debut playoff game against the Cleveland Browns by Levi Edwards. All right, Levi, how fun was that putting this piece together?
A lot of fun. We just rolled out a new series from the vault, basically a project that I wanted to spearhead, just being a football historian, football nerd, as I like to say. Just an article series with the audio as well, kind of taking you back in time. So for this second episode, we did Marcus Allen, and with the project, I didn't even want to just pick just historic moments in Raiders history. I didn't want to, pick the big ones. I didn't want to pick the ones that we all talk about, that we all know. I want to kind of pick some moments that were a little bit more obscure, that fans might have forgot about, that still hold dear to Raider Nation. And I believe that this playoff game in 1982 against the Cleveland Browns, Marcus Allen's first playoff game in his NFL career, is a huge moment because it set the precedence for what career he would have. And just when you look at his stats and you look at his numbers from that year, led the league in rushing touchdowns as a rookie, first team All-Pro, MVP runner-up as a rookie, coming straight from USC after winning a Heisman, just to have that kind of season. And his numbers would have been even more ridiculous if it wasn't a strike-shortened season. And so it was really great talking to him. And even now, so many years, like when you just listen to him and he goes back into the moment of remembering it, how it happened, he's just so confident. And it's like, this guy's a Hall of Famer. He's done it all in his career. But even when I was interviewing him and he was talking about how he felt in the moment and how he felt going through it, you could just hear the chip on his shoulder that he had even going through it so many years down the line. So it was a really great interview, and I think it's something that you guys will enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. And Marcus is one of those guys, once you get him talking, you get him talking about something, he gets very passionate about it. Considering he was a Heisman Trophy winner, he was such a marquee athlete, just world famous in college. Then he comes to the NFL. I mean, what was that like? Because it's pressure to play in the playoffs and win, especially when you're a marquee talent and everybody expects you to have a long, successful career.
It's huge. Imagine we just watched the Super Bowl and all eyes were on Saquon, and the whole game plan was centered around, making sure that we, stop him. He's been the best running back in the league. So imagine you're going into a playoff game and it's like you're Saquon Barkley, except as a rookie. And that's essentially what it was like game planning against Marcus Allen when you go into a situation like that, where there's so much riding on you as a rookie player straight out of college because of not only what he could have done, as a rusher, but he was also one of the first really good receiving running backs. Now in today's league and in today's era, you want a running back who's also a threat within the receiving game. Back then it was like, we want you to run the ball, we want you to block, and that's it. But Marcus Allen was one of those first guys that could run the ball, he could go out and he could run the entire route tree, and he also, trickery with some throws in as well. So really he just meant so much to that offense, in such a really good offense, such a really good team. This was so young, fresh into the league, and it's really crazy just thinking about what he accomplished that year. So I was really happy to be able to go back and look at it because it's something that shouldn't be forgotten.
Levi Edwards from the digital team. So I opened up the show with the coaching staff, and I went through it in the Raiders. Put that out at Raiders.com, and we're going to get to know the coaches. I don't know the majority of them. Some are familiar to me, but I want to be careful with this question because you and I both have liked the former coaches and worked with them. You're there. You're asking the coaches questions. I thought AP had the players ready, and they were playing hard. He was just decimated with injuries. What's the buzz around what Pete Carroll could do at practice? Levi, this competition Wednesday stuff is brewing. And you're a young guy, and I've been doing this longer than you, and you just hear from other players as they talk about what Pete expects from the team heading into every practice. How excited are you to watch that?
I am very, exuberant. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I'm very happy and excited to see what he can do. And you mentioned that word, that C word, compete. And I don't think I heard a word said more from Pete Carroll on his first day here in headquarters than that word is compete. Compete, compete, compete. And I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm excited to see how he involves that within his team and within his coaching staff, because everyone has a job, and either you're trying to take somebody's job or you're trying to keep yours. That's really what it comes down to in the NFL. And so I really want to see what that looks like, of everyone is at square one. No one has done anything. Everyone is working and earning a job and an opportunity. No matter what you've done, no matter what people think you're going to do, you're going to have to earn it. And I think that's the mentality that he's going to bring in, and he brings with him a very mixed coaching staff of veterans, but also guys that are also trying to, get their feet wet within the NFL after having a lot of coaching experience in college. So I think that that's very interesting as well when you look at the hires he made. So I'm really excited to see kind of how that mixes together with kind of a veteran coaching staff as well as a very fresh coaching staff to the NFL.
Levi Edwards is our guest. One more thing on the coaching staff. You watch a lot of college football. Chip Kelly is interesting to me because when he came on the scenes at Oregon, when he got world famous at Oregon, the ball was coming out really quick. The RPOs were amazing, but he was running a fast offense based on the running game. A lot of people thought it was passing and all the quarterbacks he had. No, it was the run, which was the priority. I was disappointed with the running game. It was arguably the worst in the league. Man, do they got to improve on that. They've got to get Chip a running back here in the offseason and in the draft if they're going to establish the offense that Chip Kelly is used to running.
I agree with you, and not that there's necessarily some bad running backs already here on the team. You have a couple of really good ones, but that's that when you look at position of need, considering that the Raiders were the last rushing offense in the league, only averaged 80 yards a game on the ground. That's something that needs to be improved. But when you hire a guy like Chip Kelly, who has success with that at Oregon and even has success with that in the NFL, when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, and even before Ohio State, he had a lot of really good running backs that are in the league now doing really good things at UCLA. So he's always been able to do really good things in the running game. But I want to tell you something that Raider Nation should really be encouraged about with Chip Kelly in this rushing offense. Chip Kelly had, in my opinion, two of the best running backs in the nation that he coached that are coming out in the NFL draft this year, Quashon Judkins and Trayvon Henderson. These guys, they're studs, I'm telling you, and they had one of the best, two-headed monster backfield that I've seen in college football this past year, with their ability to be able to have Judkins be the ground and pound guy, but also has some burst. Henderson has top getaway speed, and he's a really good pass blocker. So these are two guys that Chip both has experience coaching. He knows these two guys, and they're both guys that could push to be first-round guys. But if they're there on day two, I would be very – I don't want to say the word surprised, but if one of these two guys are there on day two, I feel like Chip Kelly and the Raiders got to find a way to take one of these guys because they are just that – imperative to what the Raiders could be on the ground.
You nailed it. They got to get a running back in day two. They have to. Again, I like Zamir White, and he didn't have a good year, and the other guys are getting a little bit older and have been around the league. They got to get a young back who could be explosive. Finally, I know how big of a Prince guy you are when we were in Minneapolis. Kendrick Lamar, halftime Super Bowl. Give me your review.
Well, it's still not the Prince. Prince is still, in my opinion, the best halftime show of all time. Playing Purple Rain in the actual rain is still undefeated. You can't top that. Kendrick Lamar, in my opinion, once again, I'm biased because I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar guy. He's one of my favorite rappers of all time. I really appreciated the visual, the entertainment value of it. I guess now I'm starting to realize I'm becoming a little bit of an old man because my one critique I'd have is that I wish Kendrick would have played a couple more hits, a couple more stuff that I grew up with him on, from the Good Kid, Mad City album and the Pimp the Butterfly album. I wish he would have went a little bit deeper into his discography. He played a lot of new stuff for these little Gen Z, Gen Alpha kids that, grew up, like Kendrick Lamar, the whole Not Like Us and diss tracks and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to see a little bit more from him in that regard. But other than that, in terms of the visual, his performance, his voice control, his breath control when rapping, you didn't hear a whole lot of auto-tune, didn't hear a whole lot of lip syncing. It was him at it 15 minutes. I personally loved it. Sam Jackson, great job. Even the symbolism with Sam Jackson and him being Uncle Sam, I really just enjoyed all of it. I thought it was a really good show.
Great segment, Levi. I'm looking forward to this Marcus Allen piece. I'm going to dive into that over the weekend, and we'll talk to you in a week or two. Appreciate you.
Most definitely. We got another one coming up on Monday, too, so stay tuned, guys.
You got it. Levi Edwards from our digital team. Good to get him here. I take pride in helping Levi and wanting to develop him as a really big media guy because that's what I take pride in at this stage of my career, finding young guys and gals who could come on the radio and have good content. And that's something that I love doing. And Levi's really good, so I appreciate Levi jumping on here. Yeah, Fabian, a couple other people saying running back in the second round. Look, Ashton Genty could go at number 6. I think that's a bit high, the Boise State running back. We just don't know what the Raiders are going to do. I don't know what John Spytek wants to do. Maybe he'll tell me. I don't want to know. Remember that. Remember, Bobby, I've told you that for 30 years. I don't want to know. I don't need to know anything. Like on Christmas, don't tell me what you got me. I don't care. You don't even have to get me anything. We'll talk after the presents are open. We'll do that. We'll talk after the presents are open. But the Raiders got to thread the needle when it comes to the draft and free agency. They got a lot of money to spend. They could spend a lot of it on a quarterback like Sam Darnold, a lot of it. They could spend a lot of it on the O-line. They got to sign their own players. It's a complex time, but there's new people here to do it. Hey, the Black Hole is doing a lot with this Raider fan cruise. And the Black Hole is the sponsor for Max Crosby's Commitment to Excellence Award. I'm the first member of the Black Hole Hall of Fame. I love the Black Hole. Woo! All right. They not like us. They not like us. Hit the like button, please. Thank you. What happened to Dylan Laube, Fabian? And there was a lot of guys we drafted last year late that didn't play. I mean, Laube, good kid, but man, what happened to him? I'd like to see. I was expecting more out of him.
About 4 minutes.
Okay. Oh. I am not going to go live on the cruise. I might. That's a good thing. Maybe that's a great idea, Kenny. Maybe I should do. That's a good idea. That's maybe what I can do with this thing. Go on the cruise. If we have good Wi-Fi, I could knock out on my balcony maybe about 20 minutes a day or something like that. That's a really good idea. Thank you for reminding me of that. But, vacations, I haven't had a day off. Not that it matters. We're into February. We didn't have much time off since August, big Christmas vacation here and there. But I'm going to be gone for a little bit here now because, again, I got to go see my folks. I have to, and I want to, and my sisters and everybody else. And wife wants to travel a little bit this summer. Happy wife, happy life. And been doing this 30 years, man, uninterrupted, mostly doing 2 shows. And, every once in a while, you got to recharge the batteries, man. If ball control is going to be important, defense and ball control is Pete Carroll. Don't turn it over, value the football, play smart, compete, all that stuff. Valentine's Day, Bobby, is that a big one for you with your new lady? So Valentine's Day is Friday.
Yeah. She's working, I'm working, so we're going to try to next week. Plus, it's cheap if you go out like next Monday or Tuesday rather than going on Friday night, which is just ridiculously expensive.
Can't hear those beautiful diamond studs. Get him that Rolex he's always wanted. Remember, Valentine's Day is for both of you. Don't walk, run to Sky Diamonds in Town Square.
Get ready to melt for flavor with Port of Sub's chicken melt trio of options, like Old Buffalo, savory teriyaki, or smoky barbecue chicken melts, served on our pepperoncini pepper jack bread, baked fresh daily with a kick of spice and creamy cheese. Make it a combo, add chips and a drink. The chicken melt trio is too hot to handle. Order in store, online at portofsubs.com, or on our app today. Slice fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Hey Vegas, at For the Truck, we always offer our first responders and military a 10% discount. Are you ready to take your truck to the next level? For the Truck is giving everyone 10% off all Linux Ram bed riders. And remember, gift cards are available at For the Truck.
We have to give away Grimaldi's gift cards today, right?
Yep.
Didn't we say that?
Yep, one singular. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
50 minutes into the show, no callers. Callers suck lately, man. They really are lacking. They are lacking, and I have failed you because I'm better than the callers, but we have some good callers. We are on Raider vacation again on this channel, man. Raider vacation, man. Jesus. Wake this bleeping place up.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
The lessons are really clear. So we have a philosophy and a way to do things. It's things that we believe in. And the sooner we can get to everybody understanding it, being on board with it, the sooner we'll move ahead and move forward. I'm not talking about just the football team. I'm talking about the people that are in the organization. I'm talking about the people that support us. Everybody that has an inkling that they want to see what we're all about. We're teaching and we're reaching out to them. I think it takes everybody to make us as good as we can possibly be. And so it's that process that we'll go through that we've done before. That it's an exciting, challenging, kind of once of a lifetime opportunity again, and so we're going to take it on with a great energy about it.
Yeah, I buy into all that. That's complete buy-in from Pete Carroll. Teaching, competition, everybody get on board or get off. It's really easy when you got a guy like Pete Carroll. It's tough. You got an interim coach. You got two interim coaches. We had two interim coaches since the team moved to Vegas. Rich Bisaccia and Antonio Pierce. Both did as good of a job as they could, and they worked their ass off. But Pete Carroll is an established head coach, and he's going to have everybody with the buy-in. Can you imagine not buying into Pete Carroll? Can you imagine that? Imagine wanting to work for a company and you don't buy into Pete Carroll. And if you look at this, the quarterback is going to be the big position here. And as we look at this and we try to figure out what's going to happen, the quarterback coach and the ability to develop the quarterback, Greg Olsen, Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll. Okay, he likes to throw it around. He's coached quarterbacks as the head coach. That's going to be important. Now, can the Raiders draft a top quarterback and develop him? That's going to be the key. We have never been known as a team with that ability. No. Really, we haven't. I mean, Derek Carr, yeah, with Bill Musgrave. I thought that Bill Musgrave and Derek Carr work well together. And what about Sam Darnold? It took 3 coaching staffs to find one that could develop him. I thought the success of Sam Darnold had nothing to do with Carolina and the Jets. When he went to San Francisco and Kyle Shanahan worked with him, and he just was a backup, that was the beginning of him being great with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, which was unbelievable. Now, what's interesting is Pete Carroll saw upside with Geno Smith. Nobody else did, including me. I thought he was even worse than a journeyman. And then they turned him into a guy who was pretty good. So the ability to draft a quarterback and develop a quarterback is going to be massive around here. And that's going to come down to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback who ever lived, is our new minority owner with a lot of power and a lot of say. Mark's counting on him in a lot of different categories when it comes to leadership and development. And with Mark Davis, Tom Brady, Pete Carroll, Greg Olsen, Chip Kelly, there's a lot of experience in that room. And they're going to have to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. That's hour number 1 of the show. Appreciate everybody listening here. We'll go a little bit longer on the YouTube channel. JT the Brick YT. Good sound coming back on the other side. Travis Kelce. And it's like someone stole his lunch. Someone said something bad about his girlfriend. He is unraveling. But I thought he had some really good comments on his podcast. I want to play that. And also on the other side, Brock Purdy could reset the market at quarterback. Very interesting conversation on the Raiders looking for a quarterback and what San Francisco might pay to have to keep Brock Purdy. Keep it here on the flagship.
The Stars Mush.
Yep. All right, Bobby, racing to get his cigarette. Racing to get a cigarette. Look, I don't smoke, but man, if you got to go an hour without a dart, man, you got to get that dart, right? If you don't get your cig in an hour, man. So Bobby's getting his cigarette. I'm fascinated about Purdy because I don't know how good Purdy would be on a bad team. Purdy is the product of Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers being great with their roster. So you can't knock the kid for it. You can't. The kid went to a good team. You go to a good team. Ben Roethlisberger went to the Steelers. He went to the Steelers. If Ben Roethlisberger went to the Browns, would he be a Hall of Famer? I don't think so. It's who do you get? And that's why Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, any of those guys, if the Raiders get Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, instantly the Raiders are going to be legit. Instantly. Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins, they are adults. They are really professional, and they will get the ball out on time. It will be accurate. Will they be elite? Darnold could. He had an elite season. I mean, Darnold had an MVP season other than Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. He was top 5. I thought Sam Darnold played just as good as Jared Goff, and Goff was a candidate for MVP. And, I just wish these guys we would have got a couple of years ago, man. Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold was available, and so was Aaron Rodgers. But Rodgers wanted too much money. Imagine if Rodgers was available for the Raiders 2 years ago and he didn't want $50 million a year, but he did. He chased the money down. Maybe Aaron Rodgers plays for a lot less for the Raiders. Early Riser says, I'd pass on Rodgers. Okay, I wouldn't pass on Rodgers. I'd love Aaron Rodgers because he's elite. He's elite, and he could have another good season. He could throw for 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. How great would that be for the Raiders? I think it'd be fine, but I doubt that's going to happen because of the person he is off the field and the culture Pete's trying to build here and what he's going to try to do. Yeah, we'll get the Balzer probably 10 after. Yep.
I think I remember was you were talking about how bad they were in the first half.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got that. No, you've got the throw for balls results.
Yeah, we'll do Balzer first.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, get him up first.
Yep, they put up the sound.
Yep, I do.
All right, got about a minute.
Any breaking news out there? Do we got to go to ESPN.com? Don't want to miss out on any breaking news. I want to get to that Kelce sound too.
That's all this stuff was.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by Comisario Tequila, the official tequila of the JT the Brick Show.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes up off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 20 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10. Touchdown Raiders!
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Welcome back, everybody. It's hour number 2 on the flagship of the Silver and Black. We're brought to you by La Casa Cigars and Lounge. You'll find me at La Casa to see the live music, the great cigar selection. Thank Mike for his great partnership that he has with us going forward. And every time we get a chance to go to Tivoli Village, wait till you see what they're doing at La Casa. Whoa. Wait till you see what Mike is doing. If you love a great cigar, go to La Casa Cigars. Become a member in the back room there. Get a locker like I have. Get the best selection in town. Thanks to Mike and the entire team over there. Howard Balzer will join us coming up here. I want to dive into it. I saw him at the Lee Steinberg party. We ran into each other and talked for about an hour about the Hall of Fame. I'm a geek when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen got in. There are only 4 members of that entire class. It's a very controversial topic. It is. How come there's only 4? How come they didn't get 6 in? Eli didn't get in. How did Luke Kuechly not get in as a first ballot Hall of Famer? How in God's name is Adam Vinatieri not a first ballot Hall of Famer as a kicker? What more do you got to do to be a kicker and a first ballot Hall of Famer than that? I thought Terrell Suggs is a Hall of Famer. Torrey Holt, you go down the list of potential Hall of Famers that got the snub, and EA got in. And also there's a great video of the knock on the door for Eric Allen. If you haven't seen it, it'll just make you smile to see EA. As well as we all know Eric Allen, I think we need to do a better job and congratulate him, and maybe wait to do it in person. If you know EA, you want to meet him at the Torch or see him in the off season. But knowing his wife and knowing his sons, and I only know his sons from coming to the Torch and spending a little time with him. Wow, what a summer this is going to be for Eric Allen. He gets into the Hall of Fame. His Eagles win the Super Bowl, and he's going into Canton, Ohio. Isn't it great that he waited and it came during an Eagles Super Bowl when he's an Eagles legend? Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And then Eric Allen is someone we're going to count on with this new Raiders coaching staff, because all these coaches who are brand new are going to want to hang out with EA, who's a new Hall of Famer. So I just want to be a fly on the wall to see what happens there. I want to get into the Travis Kelce news today because he's been our nemesis. Oh, my God, has he killed us. We have not been able to guard Kelce. Kelce's going into the Hall of Fame on what he did against the Oakland and Las Vegas Raiders, just like LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Gates. Those guys just unbelievable. So Travis Kelce is going to take some time off before making a decision if he'll return for his 13th NFL season. Remember, his brother retired and could have played one more year and got a Super Bowl, right? He could have played one more year. They could have played against each other again. But the wear and tear on their body is interesting. So on their podcast, New Heights, here's what Kelce said about the loss to the Eagles.
Just wasn't our day. Couldn't find a lick of momentum. I'm kicking myself for some of the tiny, tiny decisions I made on the field. I wasn't the best leader that I could be in motivating my guys and keeping my guys, calm, cool, collected. And I put a lot of that on myself as, the guy that's been in the building for 12 years and seen a lot of football and actually seeing a situation just like this in the Super Bowl. It's a tough pill to swallow. It's a hard reality, man. I love my teammates. I love my coaches, Chiefs Kingdom. I'm sorry for how it ended. I have a beautiful life, man. I have loved ones. I have the most amazing family in the world that supports me in everything that I do. And they were all there, cheering me on and hoping for the best on Sunday, man. I wish things would have went different. I wish I would have made better decisions early on and helped my guy Pat out and helped my team, find that momentum or that confidence. But, I just have to tip my hat to the Eagles.
Travis Kelce came into this league as a developmental tight end and will leave the league as the greatest tight end of all time. How about that? Came into the league, people like, oh, he's got a talent. We'll see what he can do. We'll try to fit him in. And then he's going to exit the sport as the greatest tight end of all time, along with Gronkowski. Gronk got hurt a lot. Gronk was banged up a lot, very physical, an elite player. Raiders had Dave Casper. The greatest athlete I've ever seen in my life, mostly on film, was Kellen Winslow Sr., Mike Ditka. The Raiders have Brock Bowers now. I mean, think of Brock Bowers now could look up to the career of Kelce to see how dominant you could be. So as much as we rip on Kelce and, Raider fans are against Kelce, you got to tip your cap to the guy. You want to talk about an elite football player? He will go down as arguably the greatest tight end to ever play, decorated with Pro Bowls and rings, and go right into Canton, Ohio as a first ballot Pro Football Hall of Famer. That's special. And he did a lot of damage against the Raiders. I cannot tell you how many times, I said it on the show to you for years. We don't do the right thing. We can't guard him. We've had great defensive coordinators. We didn't have great players. We didn't have a lot of linebackers over the time. How many linebackers have the Raiders had over Kelce's 13-year career? You can't name them on one hand. Nice guys. They tried to be good players, but they couldn't guard Kelce. We didn't have enough safeties who could come in the box, who could guard him. other than a player like a Charles Woodson. There weren't many players who could match up against Travis Kelce. We want him out. If you're a Raider fan, you don't want to see him again. You want him out. You want to wish him well, send him some flowers and say, thank you, get out. Because if he comes back again, it's going to be the same thing next year, but I have more confidence that they'll guard him better because they just got the film of the Super Bowl, right? Next year, when the Raiders play and Kelce, I don't think he'll retire. I think he'll play one more year. I always think that athletes should go out with a victory lap. I always like when a baseball player retires, Mariano Rivera, they give him a rocking chair. Derek Jeter retires, they give him a boat. But you got to play that one more year. If you just retire out of the blue, no one can throw you a party. So if it's Kelce, it's Shaq, whoever it is. If you're Kelce, you should play one more year, go around the league one more time, and have a going away tour. He's a good player, great player. But at this stage of his career, he's out of his prime. He's out of his prime. But we all saw that game. What was it, 2 years ago? We had 4 catches for 4 touchdowns with only 20 yards, 25 yards. That was remarkable. And we've had some good tight ends here over the last couple of years. Darren Waller was great. Before Darren Waller kind of fell out of love of football, I bumped into Darren 2 weeks ago in the park. I was out there doing a walk in my park right at my house, and Darren was there walking around. We had a nice, quick hello. God, he was a great player. Cannot believe Darren Waller's not playing football. Shocked. He left that much money on the table. He had it all right in front of him. And the year he had, the 2 years, but the year he broke the reception record, and then Brock Bowers comes behind him, and we got a really good tight end there. Another piece of sound I wanted to play to start this hour is Diana Rossini on what's going to go on with Aaron Rodgers. I believe that Aaron Rodgers is a viable candidate to be the quarterback for the Raiders. You better believe it, because if the Jets don't want him, he's available, and he's one of the all-time greats. This is what she reported on.
When they had conversations with Aaron Rodgers about what the future would look like, if you're going to be part of this team, you're going to attend all of the training camp. You're not going to do Pat McAfee interviews anymore.
Wait, they said that?
Yeah. If you were to stay here, here's how we would want it to be. So this to me is Aaron Glenn getting control back.
So do you think that if he would have agreed to not do that stuff, that he would have been their quarterback?
I think that no matter what the Jets were going to say, Aaron Rodgers wanted to move on.
That's a really interesting soundbite. Let's say Aaron Glenn takes over. He's the new head coach of the Jets. And he says to Aaron Rodgers, you can't go on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah.
Well, why would Rodgers have a problem with that? Okay, coach, if you don't want me to do that, I won't do that. But Aaron Rodgers cares about his media, really cares about his media. So when people ask me about what type of fit Aaron Rodgers would be with the Raiders if he came here, you don't think Tom Brady and Pete Carroll would sit him down on the 3rd floor and go over the rules? Yeah. They would be pretty strict. But I was very impressed when I watched Aaron Rodgers' documentary, Enigma, and saw his work prep and how hard he worked to get back to play for the Jets. I was blown away by it. It was incredible. And that's the last view I have of him, is blowing out his Achilles for the Jets. And instead of saying, goodbye, everybody, I'm out, I get all this money, that he recovered quicker than guys who blew out their Achilles 10 years younger than him. That's because he worked his ass off. Can't people give him credit for that? Now, Aaron Rodgers, if the Raiders had him as a stopgap, say the Raiders drafted Jackson Dart in the 1st round, and Aaron Rodgers for a year was the quarterback, and Dart watched him every day in practice, that'd be unbelievable in the meeting room, because Rodgers is not a bad mentor. Ask Jordan Love. But the fascination with this quarterback quandary, it's very complex. What John Spidek and Tom Brady are going to do here, very complex, because Darnold is the answer. Darnold's the answer for this program if he plays and wants to be here on a 4-win team instead of a team that won 14 games. He decides that he's going to take more money and come with Pete Carroll and Tom Brady. I could get why he'd want to do that. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, and Tom Brady. But you don't want to give him $55 million or $50 million. And then listen to what they're saying about Brock Purdy. Oh, my God, I couldn't wait to play this. This is Ian Rappaport and the NFL insiders. The Niners got a massive decision in front of them because Brock Purdy needs to get paid.
I would say, first of all, the timing here is interesting because, this is early comments. We're obviously early in the offseason. And, I think a lot of teams say, you know what we'd like to do early in the offseason? Just cross off a big thing on the to-do list, big item on the to-do list. Just let's just handle it early. And the 49ers have tried. I remember when they were trying to do George Kittle's contract, and they went really early in free agency to meet with his agent, try to get things done, and they got things done like 6 months later. And Brandon Ayuk, they wanted to get done early. Instead, they got done right around the start of the season. Can they get Brock Purdy done at a reasonable time when there's no hold in, there's no drama? They have not been able to for these big-time contracts. So I think that's one question the 49ers are going to have to figure out / solve. The other thing for me is, and obviously this math problem, guys, is a little bit harder. Where does Brock Purdy fit in? Like, he's going to be a highly paid quarterback. That's not a question. But Dak Prescott's at 60. Does he eclipse Dak? Okay, well, if not, then you have 3 quarterbacks. You have Burrow, you have Jordan Love, you have Trevor Lawrence at 55. Does he eclipse them? If the question is, if his agent says yes and the 49ers say no, that's as big a problem as you could get with contract negotiations. And those are the kinds of things that can really halt things. So, yes, it's not a question of whether the 49ers want Brock Purdy as their quarterback. They absolutely do. Many, many, many teams would. But it's just, where does he fit in the pecking order?
See, I'm fascinated with the Brock Purdy conversation because I don't know how good Brock Purdy is if he played on a bad team. He played on a really good team, a great team, one of the best rosters we've seen in the last 10 years, a Super Bowl roster. And he's Mr. Irrelevant. So how good would he have been if he went to Carolina? How good would he have been if he went to Cleveland? He would not be getting $50 million if he played for those teams. He'd be a 500 quarterback if he played well. So how much money do you want to give him, as we thank all the bricklayers who are there on YouTube? How much money do you want to give him? Because the Niners have had a